Video compression stands at the foot of a monumental paradigm shift. One is drawn to ask, how could video compression professionals not have seen this coming? This short film frames the answer in the context of an important story of scientific advancement, the evolution of mankind's understanding of the solar system. The ancients were closely attuned to the position of the planets against the starry background. The planets retraced their positions in a fixed period known as the sidereal period. From time to time, when a planet crosses the Earth-Sun line, the planet appears to reverse in direction with respect to its normal travel in front of the stars. This retrograde motion occurs at a regular period known as the synodic period. Planetary brightness is also known to vary, also with the synodic period. An eccentricity in planetary motion was also recognized, where the length and precise timing of the retrograde motion was known to vary, as did the maximum planetary brightness. It is Plato who first verbalizes a conceptual model by which the solar system can be modeled, and from which predictions could be made. He proposes a model of uniform circular motion. This model, when implemented as nested spheres centered about the Earth, successfully predicts the mean sidereal motion of the planets. Eudoxus extends Plato's model to include a description of retrograde motion caused by the addition of a matched pair of spheres, slightly offset in axis and moving in opposite directions. This model predicts a mean retrograde motion without predicting planetary brightness. Apollonius moves the center of one of the nested spheres to lie on the path traced by the other sphere. This model predicts planetary motion, mean retrograde motion, and planetary brightness. Apollonius' model predicts the average behavior of planetary motion in all respects, but does not explain the eccentric differences in position and brightness that were known to occur. Hipparchus attempts to explain eccentric motion under the conceptual model of uniform motion by offsetting the Earth from the center of the deferent sphere. The resulting predictions show eccentricity but are not correct. By splitting the eccentricity between the Earth's position and the center of uniform motion, Ptolemy is able to correctly predict planetary positions in all respects to the level of visual measurement. When we look at an animation of Ptolemy's model, we are struck with the magic synchronization between epicycles. It is Copernicus who unifies the so-called magic epicycles into a single deferent cycle of the Earth traveling in a sun-centered solar system. This greatly simplifies planetary calculations, but results in poorer predictions. Even refinements due to Brahe fail to produce a predictive model equal to that of Ptolemy. It is only with Kepler's new conceptual model of elliptical planetary motion that the planetary positions become more accurately predicted than that with Ptolemy's. Let's take a short break and enjoy an animation showing that the predicted results are the same, whether we use the Earth-centered model on the left or the Sun-centered solar system depicted on the right. The scientific method may be conceived of watershed events of scientific inspiration, followed by increments of engineering perspiration. A conceptual framework is the inspiration for the evolution of engineering refinement to follow. An implementation of the conceptual model is developed. The engineering implementation is evaluated against the real world. An engineering refinement is developed to improve upon defects revealed in testing. The refined implementation is again tested against actuality. At some point, a new conceptual framework may be developed to challenge the original conceptual framework and its resulting chain of engineering refinements. An implementation of the new conceptual model is developed. The engineering implementation of the new conceptual model is tested against the real world. When we review the history of planetary theory in the context of the scientific method, we see that it takes tremendous computational pressure to drive the scientific establishment to a new concept. Plato develops the theory of uniform planetary motion. The first engineering implementation of Plato's concept is a planet whose circular orbit centers on the Earth. The observed planetary positions are poorly predicted with this first engineering model, as depicted by this comparison between the model and the true elliptical orbit. Exodus adds a retrograde motion to Plato's model. But Exodus' model is still unable to predict planetary brightness changes. Apollonius creates a deferent epicycle model to address changes in planetary brightness. Apollonius' model provides a coarse prediction of planetary positions, accounting for retrograde motion and brightness. Hipparchus elaborates on the model to address eccentricity, or variability from the mean, in the detailed predictions. Hipparchus' predictions at times overshoot reality, at other times undershoot it. Ptolemy builds an elaboration of the eccentric model. Ptolemy's predictions are exact to the limits of naked eye observation. Copernicus is driven by the sheer complexity of the model to propose a sun-centered simplification. But Copernicus' model gives poorer results than Ptolemy's. Efforts are made to improve Copernicus' model, but these efforts fail to deliver the desired results. It is Kepler's conceptual breakthrough that the orbits of the planets and the planet's velocities are non-uniform. Kepler proposes that the planetary orbits are elliptical. Kepler's model gives better agreement than even Ptolemy's. One is led to wonder how this story might have developed had computers been available. Would Copernicus have been so motivated to move the sun to the center of the solar system had the computations not been so difficult for a human being? Could additional epicycles and equants be added in a continuous refinement of Ptolemy's model? Would this process of continuous refinement not deliver better predictions in every way to even Kepler's model? The engineering community has a tremendous vested interest in the status quo and is resistant to new conceptual frameworks. Copernicus delayed publication of his work until he was on his deathbed. Galileo, an early follower of Copernicus, died under house arrest. Kepler's ideas were ignored until his death. All motion video compression algorithms to date are founded on a single conceptual model. MPEG alone is a family of over 50 algorithms, each a tailored implementation of the concept of taking the differences between frames. MPEG-1 is a first effort to compress standard definition VHS quality video onto CDs. MPEG-1 is tremendously computationally complex. and cannot reach its preferred data rates in a real-time compression. MPEG-1 cannot compress HD, motivating the MPEG-2 effort. MPEG-2 continues the trend towards greater computational and algorithmic complexity and compresses high-quality video onto DVD data rates. MPEG-2 is even more computationally complex than MPEG-1. MPEG-4 is motivated by a desire for lower data rates than can be delivered by MPEG-1 and MPEG-2. A family of 21 algorithmic profiles is defined, pushing the complexity to new heights. MPEG-4 reaches lower data rates by sacrificing visual quality. The high-efficiency video codec proposes to cut data rates by half, regardless of computational complexity. No fewer than 13 additional algorithms are added. Indeed, lower data rates are obtained. The irony of so-called high-definition television is that the widespread use of these techniques has caused a steady degradation in video quality. ZPEG rejects the computational complexities and the visual degradations of MPEG. ZPEG-2 is based on a completely new human visual system model and removes all of the content that is invisible to the human eye. Transform-based compression lends itself to many optimizations which differencing-based compression cannot leverage. The results of ZPEG-2 compression are dramatically better compression rates, visually indistinguishable quality, and real-time performance. ZPEG-4 is developed with the goal of providing even lower data rates than ZPEG-2, while accepting some degradation of video quality. A theoretically ideal interpolation algorithm is available for transform-based algorithms. Just as ZPEG-2 provides theoretically ideal, visually perfect compression, ZPEG-4 provides a theoretically optimal degradation of visual quality at any desired data rate.